Hello and welcome in, race fans, to tonight's event. It is a brand new season here in the Frigidigi Racing League, and it is round one of a packed 36 race schedule. It starts, as it always does, in the NASCAR world here in Daytona Beach, Florida, on the high banks, looking for who is going to secure a win in the biggest race of this season. Joining me alongside, as always, is co-host Tom Richter. How's it going tonight, Tom?
Good evening, Arie. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy Wednesday to all of our race fans out here. Back for another season here on the Wednesday night series for the Frigidigi Racing League. Arie, we come to the World Center of Racing, and this race feels a little bit different. But now we got some new names here this season that drivers are going to have to contend with, as well as some familiar names.
That's right. We've got a good mix of returning characters as well as new faces out here on track here for the season opener. Not only that, but we've also got about double the field size from what we were looking at the end of last season. So some more drivers in there ready to get their names thrown into the mix. Some additional challenges here with the additional drivers out there on track. So I'll be excited to see what we see out there in the draft as we take a look at defending series champion Matt Semple in that 8 Chevy Camaro, rocking the yellow Alto construction colors out here in a brand new scheme out in the high banks. He's debuting here for Daytona. Matt Semple ended the season this last year on quite a hot streak, on a tear, went out there, won the championship, going to be looking to defend it.
Absolutely, but he's got other drivers that are still trying to chase that 8 car down. Maybe a little bit of unfinished business from last season. Drivers like Brad Holmes, drivers like Aiden Shrine, Dustin McMurray. We'll see who rises to the top here at the end of 100 laps. 3 stages out here tonight. First stage going to be on lap number 20, second one on 40, and then we're going to have a 60-lap run to the finish here at the World Center of Racing. Arie, I don't think that there's a more difficult place to have a season opener with drivers trying to learn each other and trying to figure out who's going to be aggressive and who's just content to ride for the first 80% of this race.
Yeah, well said. And I think, one of the biggest things that can get you here at Daytona is just the prestige of the event, right? Like, this is the place, this is the track. If you're going to do well anywhere, if you're going to win anywhere, this is the place that you want it to be. And that added pressure can certainly be felt, whether it's the season opener, whether it's your first time, whether it's your 10th time, it doesn't really matter. You come out here to Daytona and it means something.
Absolutely. Daytona feels a little bit different than the rest of them, as checkered flag going to fall over practice. Christopher Puglisi going to be the fastest out in opening practice. Logan Spencer second. Paxton Frith is the top 3 in practice as we wait for drivers to make their way out of pit road to begin their 2 qualifying laps.
All right, then, qualifying out here at a drafting track. Qualifying at these drafting tracks, Tom, whether you're here, whether you're Talladega, whether you're at the newly configured Atlanta, it is a challenge unique to itself, a challenge that stands on its own, so different from any other qualifying session that we see throughout the season. It's so particular. It comes down to the smallest of margins and exactly how warm or cold your tires are as you start your hot lap.
Absolutely is. It's going to come down to thousandths of a second here. And not to take anything away from a good starting position, because a good starting position never hurts the start to your race. Qualifying a little bit less important here because you can find your way forward, Arie. But as those lines start to move around, as people start to poke out 2 and 3 wide, you may start to hesitate, especially early in the race, to make your way forward. And then before you know it, you're in crunch time and you still haven't made your way forward. So I'll take a good starting position here any day of the week.
That's right. I tend to agree with you there as well. You always get the tale of 2 strategies when it comes to these drafting races, especially these longer ones. Are you going to be up towards the front of the field trying to stay in the action, or are you going to try and hang far enough back that you avoid any of the disaster? And, you'll get about 50% of drivers saying one thing, 50% saying the other. I personally, Tom, I've always loved to start up towards the front. I want to stay up in the top 5 for the entire race. Ideally, I feel like I'm in a great position up there where I have the most control over my race and I can be ahead of most of the shenanigans.
Well, I think the stages has to change the way the drivers are going to see this, right? We know that they can make it on stage 1 on fuel. Stage 2, they can make it on fuel. So with a guaranteed caution on lap number 20 and 40 out here, I don't mind hanging back if there is a second pack that forms. I don't hate that, knowing that you got 2 stage cautions. But that third stage, that's where it becomes interesting. When is go time if you are riding in the back?
It's a good question, and a good point that you bring up with the stages right there. It'll afford these drivers some different opportunities and different chances as to what they want to try and pull here. As we see the 89 of Logan Spencer, one of our finalists in last season's championship hunt. He's actually he took a very interesting line into one there, Tom. He actually didn't get down to the bottom until the start of the corner. He kind of used that banking to ride down there towards the yellow line. I'm curious to see if that's going to work out.
Yeah, I've seen some drivers this week kind of do that and allow the gravity of the track, the 31 degrees of banking here at the World Center of Racing, try to pull that car down on its own and maybe put even just a little bit less input into the wheel, because anytime you turn that wheel here at Daytona, you're going to be scrubbing speed.
That you are, and to the line for the second and final time, Logan Spencer jumps up to P4. We're going to jump over to the 21 of Paxton Frith, bring that Ford Mustang across the line. For Paxton, that is going to be P5 on the board.
New name out here in this season for the Frigga Racing League, Lucas Hansen, first time on the board, good enough for 10th, make it 11th now for the 45 Toyota Camry of the Lucas Hansen machine, and we'll see where he's able to go. He's going to ride the yellow line down the backstretch here, and at the top, it's currently Dustin McMurray, Brad Holmes, and now Mike Miller in third.
Well, I tell you what, Tom, it's a good time to be driving the 45 car here at Daytona, so maybe Lucas might be able to replicate some magic out here in that Camry. Through 3 and 4 we go for the final time on Lucas Hansen's hot laps here at the line. We should get an improvement. It's just a matter of how much. In that Mobil 1 Camry across the line, and car 45 is going to put it P1.
Gonna go to the top of the charts here for newcomer Lucas Hansen. We'll see if it holds. Couple of drivers still making their way out. Gary Miller about to complete lap number 2 in a familiar 38 Toyota Camry. Looks like second lap gonna be slower than the first. Mike Schaefer coming across the line. First time by was 13th. Not gonna pick up.
Interesting. Seeing a good mix of drivers picking up and drivers not really picking up. Aiden Schrine's gonna jump up to P3 in the 97 car after completing his 2 flying laps right there, and we are on board now with Mackenzie Clayton in the 19, the final driver in our field to be coming to the line to complete lap number 2 right here. This will be everybody throughout the field making an attempt at qualifying to the line. Driver 19 is going to stick that machine P5 for the start.
You kind of started talking about this driver here, Arie, in practice. I think the driver that has the biggest potential this season to come and play spoiler across the entire season that these drivers have is going to be Aiden Shrine. Aiden Shrine joined about halfway through the season last year and picked up a couple of road course wins and was very fast at some ovals, but unable to get it done nonetheless. We'll see if tonight's the night.
That's right. Aiden Shrine made a big push towards the championship late in the season last year, and I think with a full season's worth of time that he can put in this go-around, Aiden Shrine has got to be one of the favorites for the Frigga Racing League in 2026. I tell you what, it's officially time to take a look at our starting grid for the season opener, race 1 of the season here in the Frigga Racing League. And starting on the pole for the first race of the season, it's going to be newcomer Lucas Hansen in the 45, just beating out Dustin McMurray, who shares the front row. We've got Aiden Shrine in P3. Brad Holmes starts off P4. Mackenzie Clayton's going to round out our top 5. In 6th, it's going to be Mike Miller ahead of Christian Key in P7. Uriel Vaughn, starts P8. We've got Gabriel Knight in P9, and rounding out the top 10 is Chris Puglisi.
Row number 6 is made up of Gary Miller in that 38 machine. To his outside, starting in 12th out here, we have Logan Spencer in the 89. Paxton Frith in the familiar number 21 rolls off 13th, with Mike Schaefer to his outside in 14th. The top 15 is rounded out by last season's champion Matt Semple and Justin Stoyanovsky in 16th, with Roy Hill III in 17th.
All right, 17 drivers taking the grid for the season opener. Here, one of 36 races, everyone getting themselves rolled off of pit road at this point. And it is now officially go time. The wait is over. The last time we saw these drivers out on track, was back in November. They had some fun with a little winter series action to keep themselves busy, but now the real deal is back, and it is the start of a brand new season. Not only is it the start of a brand new season, Tom, but as the Freaky Deaky Racing League likes to do, we follow the real-life NASCAR Cup Series format and schedule. So a new points format that these drivers are going to have to tackle this season. No more winning, you're in. You are points racing all the way to the start of the playoffs, 26 races in, and even then, where you are in the points is going to make a big deal.
I think this season, having the no winning in and having points play more of a role than they have in the past, I think that's just going to amplify the stage importance out here tonight. Because if you finish 17th out here tonight, but you racked up a couple of points throughout the stages, you still come out of here with a pretty good points night. If you miss both of them and you have a bad night, that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. These stage points are going to be quite valuable. Drivers are going to be looking to secure as much as they can. I'm pretty surprised, Tom, that they brought out the pace truck here in the high banks of Daytona. That was a bit of a shock to see pull off of pit road.
That's an old throwback up there. Usually we see the sedan up there, but they got the truck out here tonight, leading the field of 17 next-gen drivers, getting set to begin their season. Pace car going to come down pit road, and for the first time here, Arie, in 2026, we are about to go green flag racing on a Wednesday night.
All right, for the first time this season, the green flag is in the air. Lucas Hansen brings us to the line, and 2026 is underway in the Freaky Deaky Racing League.
Both lines get a pretty good jump at the start-finish line. Lucas Hansen, Dustin McMurray, as they started, that's how they run by the first time they come down into turn number 1. Big push on the inside line. Aiden Trine trying to give a little bit of a helping hand to the 45 directly in front of them. They're going to clear 2 cars by the time they come off turn 2.
All right, we've got half the field on the inside line, half the field on the outside line. No big rush for drivers to get single file. These drivers are feeling okay about riding in the draft like this. They want to see what they can do, and these stages, they're pretty short, Tom. That 20 laps, that'll come up on you quick.
It absolutely will, and that's where we're going to hand out the first batch of stage points out here this evening, is at the end of lap number 20. We do know that drivers can make it without many issues or many concerns before lap number 20. So far, we have about a 4-car, 5-car breakaway on the inside line. You got to find 7th place Dustin McMurray before you find the first car up on the outside line.
All right, that inside line starting to prevail. We can see how much Aiden Trine in the 97 is pushing the 45 of Lucas Hansen. I think you and I have both experienced it in the recent couple of days, kind of pack racing here in this next-gen car at Daytona, but it feels like you can do a lot more with pushes now than you used to be able to with the recent updates to the sim, whether you're second in line, third in line, fourth in line. It feels like these cars can take a lot more than they used to, and I wonder how much more aggressive these drivers are going to get because of it.
Yeah, you don't want to get the false sense of security there, right? Because you can still absolutely have a bad push and send somebody sliding either left into the grass or right into the wall. But you absolutely can be a little bit more aggressive than what you used to be able to here. But the one thing that has not changed, Arie, at least from my experience of racing here at Daytona, you still only get about a lap and a half before you need to give that engine some air to breathe.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to lock bumpers, you've got to be extremely careful, especially if you're sitting maybe third back in line or so and you have nowhere to go. If you're on that outside line, that's where you really don't want to be overheating because you don't really have a lot of options up there. If you try to pull out a little bit, you might accidentally get 3 wide. And if you don't do that, then the momentum for that line is entirely dead and back to the rear you go. But these guys are getting a little dicey right now, Tom, as we see Mackenzie Clayton in the 19 get a push from Dustin McMurray. He's going to lead that lap.
Yeah, Mackenzie Clayton going to lead lap number 3 here at the World Center of Racing, but not for long. Dustin McMurray, he's going to jump down in front of the 45 of Lucas Hansen, try to get that inside line working. Once again, already seeing 2 lines starting to form up out here. Which one is going to be the better one here? I always prefer the top lane here. You can kind of control what the inside lane can do, especially with the side draft in these vehicles. It's very prevalent here, but currently everybody's being nice, giving each other some room here as we work lap number 4.
Yeah, certainly the case. I tend to agree. I love the outside line. It's the one that moves. more often than not, especially if you get a good pairing of drivers up there. But right now, the only place they're moving is backwards. We've got 3 cars, maybe make it 4 clear on the inside line. See if anyone elects to jump up there as that outside line starts to rebuild its momentum and charge back towards the front. But at the moment, race leader number 11.
Series newcomer Christian Key started 7th out here tonight, currently runs 4th as he's going to jump up to the outside lane there and abandon the 45 of Lucas Hansen as they work their way down the Daytona Superstretch here on lap number 5. Drivers already a quarter of the way through the first stage, and we could see drivers start to move around a little bit, maybe not be super content with where they are right now, and try to line yourself up with your partner for the closing laps of stage 1.
Could very well be the case. At the moment, that inside line's got another big run. We're going to clear 5 drivers all the way back to the 17 of Gabriel Knight. Now on the inside line, Aiden Shrine from P2 still giving very aggressive pushes to the race leader despite not having any challenges on the outside line at the moment. That's pretty curious for me to see at this point, Tom. 5 laps in, but pushes that aggressive up front.
Yeah, I mean, you can absolutely do it, but there's a method to waiting until you see the outside lane come, keep the engine cool, and allow yourself to get maximum pushing potential out of the Camry, the Camaro, or the Mustang that you may be driving. So we'll see how they manage that. I personally don't like to really push until it's absolutely necessary to protect a line.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. Got to pick your battles here at these drafting tracks. They are very much a race of attrition and one big, long strategy battle as well, not just with pit strategy, but on-track strategy, lap to lap, corner to corner, with where you're putting your car and how you're playing the air around you.
On the inside line now, it's about a 7-car breakaway on the inside line. First car up on the outside, that's going to be the silver bullet of Logan Spencer. You got to go back about 8-9 rows before you find him. Now, the challenge that Logan's going to run into here is that he's not the only one with this idea here, right? Somebody's going to see that outside lane coming and say, hey, you guys look like you're moving fast. Don't mind if I do.
Only a matter of time, especially given we are about halfway through. We are just about halfway through stage number 1. In only a couple laps time, it will fly by. And I'm sure there's a number of these drivers who are going to be eyeing those stage points. Got to get their season started in as good a way as they can, especially given the new format. And with these drafting tracks, Tom, especially, I feel like, the stage points are already going to be more important, but when you come out to these tracks where you just can't really predict what's going to happen, you could walk away with, last place points due to something that's completely out of your control so easily. So going up there and getting those stage points at these tracks, Daytonas and Talladegas and what have you, it feels even more important.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Is these drivers going to have just about 11 laps to go in stage number 1. Next time by, going to be halfway through our first stage out here tonight before we see cars come down onto pit road for the first time. But that's back to your point, Arie. That's a little bit of a double-edged sword right there. You can always get the points at the end of the race, but you also need to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, what is the right answer? Well, I don't think there is a right answer or a wrong answer until something does happen, and then you can look at it in hindsight, which is, of course, always 2020. But we're going to take a look back here at Chris Puglisi in the 42, trying to lead that outside line. He's got the 89 all over his rear bumper right now. He's getting some good pushes, but that line just can't seem to make anything happen. And I'm wondering, Tom, if this is a result of not utilizing the side draft enough. I almost wonder if you're going to be leading that outside line, maybe you need to rely on side drafting that inside line pretty aggressively to pull everyone along with you.
Yeah, at other races at Daytona International Speedway, that's what we've seen. You almost need to, you're not doing it egregiously, right? But you need to get as far down onto the passenger side door of the inside lane here. And here you can see there's at least a full lane in between Roy Hill and Christopher Puglisi. Good thing there was a lane there because a little bit of a slide up from Hill on the entry into turn number 3. But yeah, they're trying to make it work, but right now having difficulties finding their way forward.
Right. The pushes are there from the 89 of Logan Spencer. That certainly isn't lacking. Now it will be, as these drivers see that the writing is on the wall, that outside line is done for, and that is going to be just about the entire field single filed out at this point. We jump back up towards the front. Dustin McMurray in that 11 continues to lead the field around. Aiden Shrine in P2. Christian Key currently runs in third as we are looking at 10 laps to go in stage 1.
Something notable here, Ari, usually we'll see very defined packs start to break out here, where you may see a top 10 start to break out, and then maybe a couple of seconds back, you'll have 4 or 5, maybe 6 cars elect to say, hey, you guys go have fun. We're gonna hang out back here. Not the case here in the opening laps of tonight's race. Everybody within 1.7 seconds of the race leader, Dustin McMurray, as they run right now.
Waiting for the moment in which somebody within the top 5 decides that they want to get aggressive and make a move to that outside line, maybe bring someone along with them. I think the fact that the entire field is down on that inside line, it almost, kind of is a self-perpetuating sort of situation, Tom, in that, like, if there's nobody up there, now all of a sudden nobody wants to be the only one to make that move, right? Because there's no guarantee that anyone's going to go with you. If there's 1 or 2 cars already up there, you feel a lot better about it. But when you get the whole field single filed out like that, it could be really dangerous, and you could end up doing that for a lot longer than any of these drivers want to.
You could, but it's also usually the calm before the storm, right? Drivers are kind of sizing each other up. They're practicing their runs. How much of a run do I need to get to the quarter panel of the car in front of me so that I may be able to utilize some of that side draft here? And we'll see where it comes from. Starting to have a line start to form up on the outside. Want to say that is the 77 of Roy Hill, but not going to have any help to that bumper of the Mustang.
No, he is not. He's going to go backwards in a hurry, is the 77, as these drivers continue to jockey for position and track position alike as we close in on potential stage points for all of these drivers out here on track. It's only a field of 17, so you know that more than half of the field are scoring stage points right here, and that has got a number of these drivers just kind of licking their lips at the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're in like 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th place right now. That's probably the best opportunity to get up there and jump up. Now we got Logan Spencer again leading the outside lane, as he's made it about 6 rows back off of the race leader. Nothing's changed up front so far. Dustin McMurray still leading the field here at Daytona as we are about to complete lap number 14 to begin 15.
Looks like the 45 wanted to jump up to the outside line, thinks better of it, stays down on the inside. Now with the help of Matt Semple in the 8, Logan Spencer in the 89 leading that outside line up to the quarter panel of 4th place on the bottom, trying to pull alongside him. He is going to pull even through turns 1 and 2, but the 3 and the 45 are going to be closing up to the 2 race leaders right there. That's going to bring that inside line along with them. You can see how much more formed together the outside line gets, and even then, it's just really difficult to beat that inside line unless you're utilizing that side draft to its fullest potential.
Yeah, but I will tell you what, though, they are starting to gain. They were about 6 rows back, maybe about a half a lap ago this time by. They're going to be about up to 5 rows back off of the race leader. So slow but steady progress here. And, you start to see that line start to move. And if you're on the inside line, you may just jump up there and decide to help them out. I think the 45 may be looking to jump out, but I think he's waiting for an opportunity here.
Could very well be the case. He looks like he is ready to do so. Ready to pop out a line whenever the opportunity presents itself. That outside line is going to continue to try and make a charge back up towards the front. See what they can do. I think they might get another driver. Yes, they do. That's going to be the 0-1 who jumps out to the outside line. Or excuse me, yeah, no, that is the 0-1. I got confused there. Mike Miller in that bright green and black Ford Mustang going to try and lead that outside line. The 45 looks again. He is going to pull out. Maybe not. Maybe he is. I'm not too sure.
And now having some of these drivers start to jump out of line, this is going to do 2 things to hurt the bottom line, right? You've got cars on the inside line. They're saying, do I go? Do I go? No, I got to get back down. So you're already hurting the draft of the inside line. Meanwhile, you're adding numbers to the outside lane. which is currently being led by Mike Miller. We'll see if another driver decides to pop up. It looks like next driver that may have the opportunity to do so is going to be Gabriel Knight, and he's going to take that opportunity halfway down the backstretch. But there you go, perfect example of it. He hurts the bottom line here to see if it's time to jump up, and that's just going to hurt the inside.
Well, I tell you what, Tom, the 3-car jumped out of line. Christian Key jumped out of line really early right there. The outside line was not anywhere close, but he goes ahead and makes the move anyway, tries to pull that outside line up to his rear bumper. He's going to do so. They've got about 5 or 6 of them locked together right there just out of the tri-oval, still trying to get the momentum back as we've got about 4-5 drivers clear on the bottom. That just seems to be the spot in which that outside line can't quite break through that, about 5 to 6 cars on the bottom point.
Well, we'll see how much patience these drivers have behind the wheels of these next-gen stock cars. As we begin to come to a close of stage number 1, we are within the window where if a yellow flag comes out, the stage points would be awarded here on stage number 1. So far, clean from lap number 1, working lap number 18.
All right, then, coming to the line this time around, getting a little squirrely. It's going to be 2 to go in stage number 1. A caution would pay some stage points at this point in time. So how is it going to play out for these drivers? That inside line remaining patient up towards the front. That outside line still trying to charge. They've got enough drivers to do it. They've just got to get hooked up enough, and they've got to start utilizing that side draft. We see leading that outside line is going to be Christian Key in the 3-car.
Yeah, and you could see no separation between Mike Miller and Christian Key on the outside lane, whereas there's a lot of daylight down on the inside line between the 50 of Uriel Vaughn, the 17 of Gabriel Knight up here. So I like having somebody right up here on my bumper as we come to the white flag on stage number 1.
All right, 3 cars lockstep across the line right there. The 17's going to jump out of line, and that is going to be Gabriel Knight now looking to lead that outside line. Breaks up the bottom, but the outside line gets into the wall. Mike Miller and some others. All of a sudden, the inside line gets a huge run. The 17 goes down to block the 29. He'll make that stick down the back straightaway.
I think there was some courtesies there from the 29 of Mike Schaefer on the exit of turn number 2. Somebody realizing that it is only going to be the finish of stage number 1 out here tonight. But Aiden Shrine, Lucas Hansen in position to take this away from Dustin McMurray, who has led most of the laps in stage 1 coming out of turn 4. Aiden Shrine's going to jump out and try to use that side draft at the start-finish line. Going to give a 3-wide finish to end stage number 1. And by the eye test there, I want to say Aiden got it.
Aiden Shrine waits till the last moment, plays the perfect move, secures the stage win, and 10 points to driver 97. We'll take a look once more at the move. That bright orange Red Bull machine jumps out to the outside line, uses that side draft to perfection, gets a huge run on the 11. With time to spare, he's going to shoot himself all the way out to the wall to prevent the 11 from side drafting him back for as long as possible. Just enough to get him across the line, 3 wide, but with a nose ahead.
But you see how fast that closing rate came from the 45 of Lucas Hansen. He was 3 or 4 car lengths back when Aiden decided to jump out and try to make that pass to win stage number 1. And by the time they got to the start-finish line, they were 3 wide.
That they were. And I tell you what, 2026 underway. First stage win on the year goes to the driver who we were talking about in the pre-race, a driver who we're going to have to keep an eye out for all season here in the Frigidigi Racing League. Looks to come out here and set the league on fire after a phenomenal partial season last go around. That 97's off to a good start.
We slow for the first time out here tonight under yellow flag conditions as drivers going to find their way behind the iRacing.com pace truck. I imagine we'll see everybody come down onto pit road this time for a full tank of fuel and perhaps some Goodyear tires. So we'll see how this plays out here. But Aiden Shrine, winner of stage number 1 at Daytona, 20 laps in.
Give you a quick rundown of our points finishers here for stage number 1. Aiden Shrine, of course, secures the 10 big points for that stage win. Dustin McMurray comes home P2 in stage number 1. Lucas Hansen in 3rd. Uriel Vaughn in 4th. Gabriel Knight, the top 5. 6th place, Gary Miller in the 38. 7th place, Mike Schaefer. Christian Key in 8th. Mike Miller in 9th. And rounding out the points paying positions is Chris Puglisi in the 42.
Just missing the points up there, Logan Spencer finishes the stage in 11th. Roy Hill III in 12th, and then last season's champion Matt Semple finished 13th. So missing stage points by a couple of positions here in the opening race, but we're going to come down onto pit road, 55 miles an hour at the cone, and all the way down.
All right, then every last driver out there on track, bringing their machines down here on pit road. There was no incident cautions in stage number 1. There was a couple close calls. There's a couple drivers who've got a front bumper that's dented in just a little bit. A couple of the drivers got some scrapes on the right side from getting up into the wall. Might elect to get that damage fixed, but nothing too significant right here. The full field still in contention.
Looking like 4 tires up and down the field here, as Lucas Hansen actually going to jump out in front of the race leaders. Uriel Vaughn going to jump up a couple of positions as well. They've got a 12-second pit time here. I don't imagine that's 4 tires up there, Arie.
No, I'm going to say that's 2 tires. It's a full tank of fuel. Maybe 2 tires to go with it, maybe not, but it's certainly not 4 tires. Aiden Shrine in P3 took 4 tires, as did Dustin McMurray in P5. But it's a pretty good split as I'm looking down through the running order, Tom. It seems pretty 50-50 on drivers who've got pit stop times indicative of 4 tires versus those who don't.
Yeah, there's not many opportunities throughout the season, even next week at Echo Park, the old Atlanta Motor Speedway, that drivers can actually take and use 2 tires to their advantage. So take them while you can here, because your opportunities throughout the season are going to be limited. But the race is handed over to Lucas Hansen in the 45 Toyota Camry. Behind him, we got another Camry of Uriel Vaughn in second, up 6 positions from his starting spot.
Alrighty then, drivers are going to get ready to get doubled up and begin stage number 2. Before we do, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we will jump right back in before the action resumes. All right, field getting doubled up. We're getting ready for the start of stage number 2. Whole field still in contention. 17 drivers took the green flag. 17 drivers still out on track on the lead lap and looking good to go. We've got about the same length here for stage number 2. Shave a couple laps off from the pace laps here to get us started under stage 2. So in a way, a little bit more of a shootout here to give away some more stage points.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably going to be closer to 15 laps of racing by the time we see the green flag on the front stretch here at the end of this lap. But now drivers kind of understand what they're able to do, how to make the outside lane work, or maybe what limits them on the outside lane here. All right, I think some of that stage 1 went into a notebook, and it's going to be used here in stage 2.
I would tend to think so. Another factor, that these drivers might be contending with is the fact that the clouds have rolled in. It's gotten significantly darker, especially down there in turn 3 over the racing surface. I remember when we threw the green flag, there was a huge glare coming off of every single one of these race cars down the back straightaway. So some cloud cover up there. It's not going to affect you at the high banks of Daytona as much as it might on some other racetracks, but handling will still come into play.
The field of 17 drivers behind the iRacing.com pace car is he's going to make that left-hand turn. We're going to head on up to the flag stand wait for Barney to give us the go signal for stage number 2. Into the restart zone we go. Lucas Hansen sees the green flag first, and he's going to come up through the gearboxes 5 gears strong before they get down into turn number 1.
All right, then, a little dicey up front to start off the restart right here. Both of the leaders on the inside and outside row get a little squirrely at various points, but the lead goes to Uriel Vaughn in the 50. Gonna dive down and lead that inside line is the newcomer to the point.
Looking for the first lap led in the race out here tonight for Vaughn in that Camaro. See if he's able to hang on to it. Yeah, a little bit of a weird looking start there. You saw both Lucas Hansen and Uriel kind of slide in the rear end of these cars around here as they came up through the gearboxes. I don't imagine wheel spin is too much of an issue here, but certainly nonetheless, we saw them kind of jerking around as they were getting through the gears, and you can still see the 45 still kind of sliding left and right here as they come out of 4.
Yeah, it seems like these race cars are pretty squirrely here on these colder tires, pretty squirrely with all of the bumps that are being given and taken. That outside line kind of flirting with going all the way up there against the wall. They're definitely making a concerted effort not to run too close to that inside line through the corners. That could just be a product, Tom, of it being early in the race and these drivers not wanting to risk too much side drafting because of how much there is still left to go. But at the moment, it looks like that outside line is starting to dissipate.
Yeah, issues towards the back. Mike Schaefer, he's going to get out of shape, and he's going to go for a lazy slide through the turn 3 and turn 4 grass. Single car incident here, but he's got another car, Justin Stoyanovsky, not too far behind here as he's going to make his way around. Single car incident, no damage for anybody, and we remain green.
All right, then Mike Schaefer going to be happy that this stage is pretty short. He should be able to get up to speed and run just enough to avoid going a lap down from the pack. We'll have to monitor that situation as we get a little replay right here. Just trying to merge back up onto the track there, Tom. When you come up onto that 31-degree banking from essentially nothing, that car is, you're just along for the ride.
Yeah, let's take a look here. See if maybe he gets a bad bump or something. I guess he's got, is that Paxton Frith directly behind him? Maybe a little bit of a bad bump and a little bit of uncertainty going into the corners. Kind of just sends him out of the way. But we have issues on track. Christian Key in the 3, hard into the wall on the exit of 4.
Significant damage for driver number 3, one of the newcomers here in the Friggy Diggy Racing League. Let's take a look at what happened, because that is very significant damage right there. Oh, it starts.
This is going to start in front of him. Logan Spencer, Matt Semple, they're going to get together. Paxton Frith is going to grab a little piece of the Daytona retaining wall here. Logan Spencer noses it into the wall, and Chris, yeah, that's a rough one to swallow right there, Arie. Really nothing that the 3 did wrong.
No, that is a, wow, yeah, that is incredibly tough right here. We're gonna have to go back a little further even to see what happens with Logan Spencer in the 89. Man, we're gonna have to go back even further for Logan Spencer in the 89 right here. Get a good enough view right here. Maybe get the blimp. All right, here we go. Down into turn 3 here, Tom. The 89, he doesn't have the 8 on his rear bumper yet. On corner entry right there, does the 8 get into the 89 at all? It looks like he is going to, just at an awkward enough angle. Those Chevrolets, they do have a slightly pointed nose, and those are teammates right there, so of course no ill intention by any means. Matt Semple going to get into the 89 and just send him along for the ride. Do it up to full speed, and that's a hard hit for the 3.
Hard hit for the 3, but not out of it by any stretch of imagination. Drivers are given one fast repair to use here, which essentially resets your car back to a brand new state. Put some new tires on there, put some gas in there, and you're good to go, but you only do that once.
That's right, and Christian Key is going to be going at least 2 laps down despite that fast repair. And the reason for that is that the car was damaged beyond the point of being able to drive it back onto the pit road. So that 3 car had to wait for the tow truck to get out there and has to wait the amount of time it would take to get that race car towed into the pit box. At that point, it will be repaired. It'll be good to come back out on track, but he is going to have a couple of laps to try and make up.
Well, we know we have at least one more scheduled yellow flag coming at the end of lap number 40 here as drivers pace around on lap number 28 of 100 out here this evening. So he can probably go 2 laps down here and still be okay, because nobody else. One of the nice things about Daytona is that with the pack racing, you don't really have too many people start to go a lap down. So as long as he remains the first car a lap down, he will be eligible for the free pass.
That's right. He shouldn't be in too tricky a position heading further into the race right here. We've got a couple other drivers, Mike Schaefer, Roy Hale, doing their best to get some damage fixed down there on pit road under this yellow flag, but up towards the front, everyone else anxiously ready and awaiting the green flag to be thrown. Yet again, we are going to be restarting with just about 11 laps to go in stage number 2.
Kind of a split decision here on this yellow flag. Drivers 11th and down decided to come down, put some Sunoco Racing fuel in these next-gen cars. That's going to be the first one of Matt Semple, Logan Spencer, and they're on back from 11th down to 17th.
I tell you what, Tom.
What?
Those drivers who just came down and topped off their fuel, especially if they're not going to take tires at the end of the stage, they don't have to be on pit road hardly at all to get that fuel tank full. They can come back down at the end of the stage, no tires, just get that quick little splash and get off the pit road, getting some track position for the start of stage 3. So I don't hate that call.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be about 6 of them down there that elected to do that. So we'll see Logan Spencer back on pit roads, presumably for another splash, as he has a 5-second service time, so another half gallon dropping into that 89. So maybe already starting to think of that fuel strategy there you were talking about.
All will be revealed in time. I want to take a look at the damage on the front end of the 0-1. Mike Miller has had the opportunities here under yellow up to this point to get that damage fixed, but has not elected to do so. And I don't know, Tom, that is some pretty significant damage, the way the splitter is all bent up and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I have noticed that the noses are a little bit more susceptible. Oh, here we go again.
Susceptible.
A little bit more prone to taking damage on the front noses of these cars. I've had some damage on the front of my cars, and at times you're just like, am I just hitting the car in front of you maybe a little bit too hard? But he's got a big dent in that center of that Ford Mustang.
I'm gonna have to go out there and paint up a race car for you that's just says oh, here we go. Susceptible as the sponsor.
All right, back at it here as we wait to go green flag racing for the 3rd time. Again, contact caution here brings us to a slow in stage number 2, but the pace car are going to get down and out of the way. Aiden Schrein, Dustin McMurray have been up front for the majority of the race, and it is still the same, as we are going to see about 10 laps to go in stage number 2. Into the restart zone we go, and they're going to be on their way.
All right, orange and blue lead us to the line right here for the restart in stage number 2. The 11 car very quick to jump down in front of the 17 on that restart. Bit of a hiccup there with the connection blinking out, but all is good at this point. Drivers trying to get formed up on that inside line, not trusting the outside line for a second. And down the back straightaway, as we get fully up to speed, we'll see a lot of runs.
Got 5 cars on the inside line before you find the outside lane starting to form up. Looks like that may be Gary Miller up on the outside lane. Actually, check that. I want to say that may be the 48 of Justin Stoyanovsky. As we go down into the south end of the speedway, Aiden Schrein, Dustin McMurray, familiar faces up at the front of the field. Gabriel Knight has been the driver that may be the one to step out of line if we do have an opportunity to do so. And Lucas Hansen, who was up front earlier in tonight's race, is in 4th.
All right, looking a little further back in the field from our aerial view, seeing a lot of drivers getting real squirrely back here, trying to figure out where they want to be, but doing so in a somewhat panicked fashion. I mean, at this point, there's less than 10 laps to go, more stage points up for grabs, and you can't go anywhere at the moment if you're on that inside line. That's basically just riding and playing it safe for the time being, so any number of these drivers going to try to make the outside line work as Logan Spencer gets tagged, but he keeps it saved.
On board here with the 45 of Lucas Hansen, and trying to take a better look here at the damage on that 0-1 of Mike Miller. He seems to be hanging in there okay without much issue. You hear a lot of throttle play on the 45, so as long as that car is able to hang in the draft, you've still got an opportunity. May not lead a line very well, but you can stay with the pack, and that's what matters with 8 to go in stage 2.
Oh, absolutely. I just hope the 0-1 of Mike Miller is aware of that damage. It's easy to not realize that you've got that damage right there. You can ride in the pack nice and easy. You don't even know until you try to lead a line, and at that point, it's a little too late. So we'll see what happens in the 0-1's case. But Brad Holmes, double-double, name we haven't really said at all tonight. Finally, going to make an appearance on the outside line, going to try and lead that charge.
He's trying to take 5th place away from Mike Miller as they come through turns 3 and 4. He's going to have the 48 directly behind him to try to help him advance their position up on that outside line. We're going to have 7 laps to go in stage number 2, but that outside lane doesn't look like they're ready to form up too well right now, as we're going to be put in a bad 3-wide situation here, and Brad Holmes going to go around, and Logan Spencer and more involved.
Oh boy. That, I think that counts. I think that's the big one out here tonight in a 17-car field. We kind of saw that start to happen there, Tom, in slow motion. No pun intended as we watch it in slow motion here, but it looked like the 00 just gets shuffled out of line right here in a pretty bad spot. See if we get a blimp view right here. The 48 gets to the inside, and at that point, he's in the middle. He's kind of checking up a little bit, but there's 2 cars linked up behind him, and when there's an accordion effect like that, where everyone's nose to tail, nobody can react fast enough, and somebody's going to get shuffled out of line. Unfortunately, it was the 00, and there's going to be a number of drivers getting some damage as a result.
Yeah, it actually looks like, as I try to grab another replay here, it looks like this actually really started here. I'm going to need you to help me out with this replay. It looks like the 50 of Uriel Vaughn is actually kind of where it started here. On the nose of the 50 here. So coming across the start-finish line, just past the pit exit here. Everything looks okay for the time being, but it's going to quickly fall apart. Start to see a little bit of a 3-wide situation starting to form. The 48 of Stoyanovsky going to kind of put it in the middle there, and then maybe just a little bit of decisiveness from the 50, going to make contact with that right rear quarter panel, and that's going to send a lot of smoke up into the air.
That it is, and I tell you what, let's get one more view of this situation right here. But now let's look behind car 50. We're gonna jump on with the 19 at this point of Mackenzie Clayton, and we're gonna watch from on board here, because all the while that's happening in front of the 50, he has got the 19 pushing him into the 48, into the 00. This is that accordion effect you guys hear so much about out there watching at home, whether it's here, Talladega, Atlanta. And when it comes to these drafting tracks, this is what you've got to be afraid of. And if you're down there on track, if you're one of these drivers racing around here, Tom, it's something you got to keep in the back of your mind at all times. If you are the pusher, you need to be, you know, aware of it. If you're second in line, it's one thing, but if you're third in line, fourth in line, fifth in line, you've got to be conscious of how many drivers are pushing ahead of you.
It's absolutely a fair point, as you're able to see. And I mean, these drivers in the cockpits of these vehicles, they can't really see a whole lot of what's happening directly in front of the car in front of them. So, you know, it's a lot of it is driver communication and saying, hey, back up. But at the same point, all of this is happening in a matter of about a second and a half.
That it is. And to your point, these drivers can't see very much. Not only that, but most of these drivers aren't operating with actual human spotters out there communicating to the best of their ability. They're just kind of relying on the built-in spotters here on the sim, which are only going to give the most basic information possible. So a little bit of some added roadblocks, some added challenges to pack racing here on the iRacing sim as a result of it. But it happens. You live and you learn. And for the drivers who weren't involved, they're going to be breathing a sigh of relief.
That is going to bring a driver that was previously a lap down, Christian Key. Want to say that's going to bring him to be 1 lap down here, as we get set to conclude stage number 2. So driver number 3 going to be back on pit road, get some fuel in that vehicle, and continue his night so far from out of it. But Uriel Vaughn, who was involved in that incident, very similar to what we saw with Christian a couple of laps ago, was not able to drive that 50 Camry back to pit road and is on pit road waiting for the tow service to be complete before he can use his fast repair.
At the very least, they do have the good news that the fast repair is in effect, and these drivers can get back out there on track and continue to battle for the race win out here this evening. We are going to get a restart here, Tom, before the end of stage 2. It is going to effectively be just about a green-white checkered, maybe with an additional lap in there of a run towards the end of the stage to the stage payout. A lot of points up for grabs. Can Aiden Shrine sweep the stages here in Daytona?
All right, so now you're Dustin McMurray, right? Dustin led a bunch of laps in stage number 1, lost it with about 100 feet to go in the stage. We'll see if we see a mirrored image of what happened in stage 1, but we're going to find out. Lights are off, and that's going to be the signal to the drivers that we are going green flag racing next time by here at Daytona.
All right, let's run down the running order as we get ready to restart here towards the end of stage number 2. Your race leader at the moment is the stage 1 winner, Aiden Shrine in the 97, electing to take that inside line, completing the front row, Dustin McMurray in the 11 car. Row 2 is going to be made up of Gabriel Knight on the inside, Lucas Hansen on the outside. Row 3, Mike Miller and Gary Miller. That is going to be our first 3 rows as we get ready to restart here behind the iRacing pace truck. Complete this last pace lap right here. A couple of drivers still getting caught up to the field to follow up on driver 50's situation. Uriel Vaughn still on pit road. Now currently scored 2 laps down and still waiting for the opportunity to come back out on the racetrack. Otherwise, every other driver appears to be on the lead lap.
It's going to be interesting to see here if the 11 decides to drop down onto the inside lane. If he's given the opportunity to do so. Last restart, the 11 dropped down as soon as he was able to get behind and pull the draft of the 97. Now, with just a couple of laps to go in the scheduled stage 2 distance, does he elect to stay up there and try to use the side draft with Lucas Hansen and more directly behind him?
We'll be curious to see. I'm wondering if that outside line is going to dissipate as fast on this restart, given it's crunch time. There is not enough time to kind of sit and plan out your move for a handful of laps. It's go time. How aggressive does that outside line get? We're about to find out. Pace truck is off, and Aiden Shrine leads us into the restart zone yet again. We are green, and at the line, it's going to be 3 to go in stage number 2.
Give us 3 to go in stage number 2. Aiden Shrine actually going to jump up and try to give the 11 a little bit of air here to clear both the 11 and the 97. They're both clear at the moment. They're going to drop down to the bottom shelf of the Speedway on the entry into turn number 1. They got Gabriel Knight in the hunt up here, Mike Miller in the hunt, and the first car up on the outside looking to forge forward is going to be the 45 of Hansen.
All right, then down the back straightaway we go. These vehicles are now up to speed in the draft. That outside line getting a big push is the 45. That's going to be Gary Miller in the 38 trying to make that push happen all the way down into turn 3. But at the moment, the top 3 on the bottom, they are linked up nose to tail, and they are moving.
Shrine, McMurray, Knight, that's how they run out of turn number 4. Now the outside lane's got a pretty big push here with Gary Miller in second place up on the outside lane. That's going to give an opportunity for the 45 of Lucas Hansen to drop down. He's going to try to do so, but actually come back up here. And now Christopher Pugliese, he's going to drop down and try to take that second spot away from Gary Miller. We got a new battle for the race lead.
I tell you what, that was a big surprise right there. We have not seen the outside line have that good of a run all night. They had 3 cars cleared for a moment right there, 2 of which jumped down in front of the 97, and now everyone's going to restack and repack as we approach the final lap in stage number 2. The pushes are turning into shoves. Will everything stay clean and green? The 97 and the 11, they go to the outside.
Out to the outside is the 97 and the 11 of Dustin McMurray at the start-finish line. 1 lap to go in the stage. That would have been Lucas Hansen's stage win right there, but 2.5 miles of racing to determine stage number 2 as the 97 has the outside advantage right now to the 45, but a lot of separation up here on the top lane. Arie Pugliese's doing a pretty good job on the inside with Hansen.
That he is. Chris Puglisi shoving for all he's worth. The 17's going to get in there. The 0-1, the 21 are going to get in on that action on the inside line. The 45 is clear. The 97 on the outside line, he's going to need help from the 11, but the 17's got more momentum. A little squirrely on the outside. Can the 42 jump up? He looks to it. He can't. Here comes the 97 with a run. Will it be enough? No. And the 45 wins stage 2 as we are wrecking across the line.
Christopher Puglisi involved in that incident here, as it looks like other drivers, the 19 involved down here. I want to say that's Mackenzie Clayton. Maybe Brad Holmes may have caught a piece of that. Mike Schaefer and more. So some sparks to end stage number 2 here, but the 45, the winner of stage 2.
That he is, and we're going to take a look at the run to the finish line right here. We'll get this camera angle down towards the line. There was a couple of moves that almost happened but didn't quite, but right here those two get real close together, the 11 and the 42. Nothing comes of it. The 42 tries to dive back down, but at that point the 17's got a nose, so Puglisi's just going to clear himself off of the nose right there. Mike Miller's got nowhere to go, Gary Miller, but Paxton Frith is going to get a huge hit into that car right there. The 77 of Roy Hill involved, the 19 involved, the 29 of Mike Schaefer. He is about to go for a ride after getting involved right there. We can jump on board. That pace truck is, yeah, he's not having a good time. We're gonna need a new pace truck after that one. But 29 is gonna get a big hit on the inside wall right here. You certainly do not want to see for a number of these drivers at the end of stage 2. But that just goes to show, Tom, these stage points, especially when there's no winning in, that they're a big deal. You've got to go for them.
You can see the left rear here on Mike Schaefer's car not turning, so he's able to drive it back onto pit road. I want to say he's on the backstretch here. That's what it looks like from this shot. But he's trying to drive it back because essentially it's going to be faster for him to do that than wait for a tow.
That's right. He's going to save himself about 2 laps.
Yeah, he's going to have to limp it around, but he still may lose a lap here, depending on what he's able to do on the pit entry. But we are on pit road here for the conclusion of stage number 2. Lucas Hansen, the winner of stage number 2, gonna slide to a stop in his box, and we'll see service up and down pit road.
All right, so the 45 car gets back on top after qualifying on pole, wins stage 2. Aiden Shrine gonna be the first one off of pit road, fuel only, as is the case for Gabriel Knight in the 17. And then we've got our 4 tire takers. We've got Lucas Hansen in 3rd, Dustin McMurray in 4th, Christian Key in 5th off of pit road.
Looks like maybe Mackenzie Clayton was a little bit too fast on entry to pit road, currently showing a black flag on that 19 as he still sits in his box for what I would imagine would be, usually they give you like a 40-second hold if you're too fast on pit entry. That's not the end of the world here at Daytona, but certainly something to adjust for next time they come down.
Absolutely the case, and now we have to start pondering the question. At this point, we have a little over half of the race distance to go. If this race looks like it's going to start to potentially run green to the end, that means green flag pit stops are going to happen at some point. These drivers do not have enough fuel to make it to the finish from this point. Another wrench to throw into the gears potentially, but cautions do breed cautions, and we did have a pretty chaotic stage 2.
Well, let's do some math here publicly, right? So we know that they can go about at least 20 laps on fuel because we saw that in stage number 1. In order for them to stop this here with 60 to go, make it really like 57, 56 by the time these laps click off here, they would need to push it to like 27, maybe 28 in order to make it on one less stop, and I don't know that you're going to get 27 or 28 out of these cars.
Well, it depends. I can't say that I know exactly how much fuel load these cars are running out here in the Free Racing League tonight, but
65.
65%. I know what you can do on 100%.
Well, I'll take 65%. There's your answer.
Yeah, I didn't do very good at math. That's on you. All right, we are double file back up. We're getting ready to start stage number 3. Aiden Shrine and the 17 of Gabriel Knight on the front row.
as it is written, so it shall be. 65% of 43 is 28.
Okay, there we go. We're right about on the number.
Mike Schaefer has found his way to pit road, still on pit road, so he actually may lose the draft here on the opening to stage number 3, as he's just now rolling off a pit road, but he's going to be having to hurry and hustle here to try to catch the back of this pack, but we're about set to go racing. Once again, Aiden Shrine, now Gabriel Knight up on the front row. Lucas Hansen in third, Dustin McMurray make up row number 2.
Sun's peeking out of the clouds once again here in turn 4 over the high banks of the Daytona International Speedway. We are getting ready to end the 4th caution and get back green flag racing. This is going to be the start of stage 3. It is here to the finish. No more scheduled yellows the rest of the way. What do these drivers have in store? What is the start of stage 3 going to look like? We're going to find out as Aiden Shrine and Gabriel Knight lead us to the green.
And let's not take out the question of the fuel strategy out here tonight. We could see some fuel saving here in the opening laps of stage number 3, as we have 57 laps to go in tonight's event here from the Friggy Diggy Racing League. Aiden Shrine going to take the lead by the time they exit the restart zone. Lucas Hansen solidly finds himself in second, with Christian Key, who was involved in an earlier incident, back up into the top of the grid.
Coming out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway, we've got about 6 cars clear on the inside lane. That outside lane is pretty much non-existent at this point. Drivers just slotting in and figuring out where do they want to run. It looks like these drivers know what they want to do here at the start of stage 3, and that is monitor the fuel situation and not be involved in any chaos.
On board here with the 48 of Stoyanovsky is he's running maybe a little bit half a lane up here on the outside. Not really a dedicated outside lane here, but also not following the inside lane here. So Justin trying to close back up to the rear bumper of Dustin McMurray as we work lap number 45, a little bit before the halfway point in tonight's event.
Certainly an interesting line that we're seeing out of the 48 right there. He's not being pressured from anyone just behind, potentially getting a nose in there. He's just kind of running up the track like that. I've not really seen anything quite like that. I would get it if you're overheating, but he's not really on the back bumper of the 11, so not too sure what the reasoning is behind that, as Paxton Frith decides, hey, you know what? I'll be the single car to go up here.
Yeah, Paxton currently runs in the 8th place position. Started 13th out here tonight, and aside from having that incident at the end of stage number 2, has had a pretty quiet night here to start his season. Paxton, one of the championship drivers last season in the conclusion of the Friggy Diggy Racing League here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network, looks to earn some points out here tonight to begin his 2026 campaign.
All right, we've got the entire lead pack nose to tail, more or less, couple gaps, some bigger, some smaller, but these drivers are just running for right now, and I would love to take a look right now. Why don't we jump on board? Let's see. Let's jump on board with driver 11. I would like to see if we can hear just how off throttle he appears to be. I tell you what, the fact that he's maintaining that gap to P3 right there, keeping that rev range down, you can hear him getting out of the gas quite a bit right there, is Dustin McMurray. There's a lot of fuel saving going on in the pack, and that's unfortunate. If you're the 97 of Aiden Shrine, you are the one driver in this race right now who is not going to be able to save as much fuel.
Yeah, Aiden Shrine leading a train of about 13 cars here. A couple of notables here after the stage 3 start. Drivers involved in that incident. Mike Schaefer rolled off a pit road late, and he's going to be all the way back here. He's going to be about 9 seconds and losing time. 9 seconds as it is right now to the leader. And these drivers are going to be in trouble before too long. Other drivers kind of out on their own right now. Logan Spencer in the 89. I haven't seen Logan.
Might be off track at the moment.
Possibly. And then finally, the 50 of Uriel Vaughn. He's got Mike Schaefer up there as well. So a couple of drivers on their own right now. No more scheduled yellow flags.
No more scheduled yellows. We got a couple of drivers towards the back looking to potentially get that third line moving. Brad Holmes is going to try and lead the charge at the moment, currently a lap down on the racetrack, but starting to get some takers. We got Paxton Frith up there. We got Matt Semple. Got the 19 back there, Mackenzie Clayton as well. If they can get enough of these drivers, especially while drivers on the inside are just kind of riding and saving fuel, that outside line could have a good opportunity.
They could, and this could also be an opportunity for the 87 of Aiden, or for the 97, excuse me, of Aiden Shrine to allow maybe this outside lane to come up and maybe only let one or two cars in front of you, but punch that air in front of the car, because we know that if we don't see another yellow flag, they are going to be close on fuel. So we'll see how this plays out as the 97 going to jump up to the outside lane, grab the draft and the help of the 11 of Dustin McMurray.
Well, we know how well these two work together. We've seen it all throughout Stage 1 and Stage 2. No surprise that the 97 and the 11 are going to try and get themselves linked up right here. Going to try and get the 11 car clear. I would imagine they're going to pull down to the inside ahead of the 45 as soon as the opportunity presents itself. The 11 does, but the 97 still on the outside.
A couple of cars bumping fenders back here in about the third place running position, the 45, and I want to say that maybe the 21 of Paxton Frith, making a little bit of contact in turns 1 and 2, but we continue on and they stay within the draft out here. Aiden Shrine has recycled back up to the race lead, but he is somehow through that managed to put the 11 directly behind him.
That he has. I'm not sure how they did it, but it did indeed work out. 97 and 11 are hooked back up nose to tail, and that's going to be bad news for anybody else in this race who fancies themselves having a shot by the end of it. Those two are working very well together. Up on the outside, Paxton Frith in the 21 wants to take the lead in that Ford Mustang. He's going to get help from the lap down machine of Brad Holmes. Double trying to get that lap back the hard way, and he is completely within his rights to do so. He's going to push the 21 clear on the outside lane. Where does the 21 go? Where does the 00 go? Everyone's going to jump down. 4 cars clear the 97.
They press the down button on the elevator, and now you have Paxton Frith in the race lead. The second place car is actually going to be Matthew Semple, who is the third place car, that yellow and black Chevy Camaro. Fourth place as they run right now going to be Mackenzie Clayton, as we may have had, let's take a look, maybe a couple of cars having a moment here on the exit of turn number 4. Got a couple of calls for pit road here, but everybody appears to be back on track.
Looks like just clipping that yellow line.
All right, so now you got 13 cars in a row here, looking like a long train down the Daytona Superstretch. The 97 had a nose out front for the beginning of stage number 3, and now the 21 does. Got to start to wonder if he's able to push that fuel a little bit further, or if he thinks he's okay. If I'm the 21 right here, you've got the 2 teammates directly behind you. You've got the 8 of Matt Semple, and you've got the 00. I almost would try to have Brad jump up to my outside and see if we can't get that 00 to punch the air for me.
Yeah, I don't hate it, to be honest. Brad's in a spot where it could benefit him if a caution had come out, and he's ahead of the race leader. Doesn't have to take that lucky dog slash wave round. He can just catch up to the back of the field. I would not hate that if I were Brad Holmes in the 00. Wonder how much they might be able to communicate that amongst themselves. But as it sits, the entire field single-filed out. It's going to be Paxton Frith in control at Daytona, followed by Matt Semple, Mackenzie Clayton, Aiden Shrine, and Dustin McMurray.
Yeah, it's a lot easier said than done, because if you open up a lane, these drivers are like hound dogs out there. They see any sort of air, and they're going to go ahead and take it, and that could quickly turn us back into a 2 and 3 wide scenario. So risk versus reward here, and as they run right now, Paxton Frith still leading the lap down vehicle of Brad Holmes, directly in second place in line on the exit of turn number 2.
Some onboard shots of these race cars as we make our way around Daytona, currently working lap 54, just past halfway in tonight's season opener.
A little bit of separation here now inside the top 3, top 4 as they run. Paxton Frith going to click off another lap led in that column for that number 21. Paxton is kind of a driver last season, Arie, that we saw him run very well throughout the season, wasn't able to pick up a win, but was certainly no stranger to running up at the front, just wasn't able to put stage 3 together for the majority of the races.
Yeah, seemed to be the case a lot last season for Paxton Frith, but you and I have gotten to see a lot of Paxton out on track, whether it be here or elsewhere, and we know that 21 car is getting better and better each race that he participates in. Pretty cool to see that Monster Energy Mustang leading the way out here in Daytona tonight.
Another lap led for that Ford Mustang of a Paxton Frith. Something notable here, Arie. So Aiden Shrine, remember Aiden Shrine was leading to begin stage number 3 here. Every time he's had the 11 behind him, they've jumped to the outside here. That's not been the case here over the last 3 or 4 laps. Got to start to wonder if he's saving a little bit of fuel or maybe just riding and doesn't like what he sees directly behind this line behind the 11 right now.
It is an interesting question. I think the gaps that we're seeing behind or between all of these race cars is telling me that everybody has gone into a pretty significant fuel-saving mode at this point. People got aggressive for about a lap or 2 right there. They wanted to figure out the track position, but at that point, everyone kind of realized, oh, shoot, this might go green, and I don't have enough fuel. So everyone trying to figure it out at this point. You can hear just how much off-throttle time we're getting from the 45 of Lucas Hansen, currently running 6th on track, 7th in line.
And let's not look the other way here just yet, Arie. We have the father-son duo of Gary and Mike Miller kind of in a second pack on their own here. You got about 8 cars who have broken away from this 5-pack here on the backstretch here. So not a great spot for Gary to be in, because now he's essentially leading the race, right? But back in 9th place, as he doesn't have any drafting help in front of him. So same issues for the 38.
Yeah, and another thing I'm noticing right here is, yeah, the damage on the front end of that 38. That's not going to be helping this line of drivers right there. Not sure how much they're able to communicate with one another, but you know, if I'm one of those drivers in that pack, I know how much it would benefit us to have somebody who's got a clean front bumper leading the way.
That's pretty significant for Daytona.
That is. Yeah, that front left can kind of act as a parachute just a little bit. That 38, he'll be fine in the draft. He just can't be the one leading it to have the most effective aero situation going on right here. We can see the 3's got some front end damage as well. Those 2 are going to have to be careful. They don't side draft each other too hard right here, or they'll lose the draft. 3's going to tuck back into line, and all should be good.
And this is probably best case scenario for the 38 of Gary Miller right here. He's not leading a line, and he's also not the last car in the train, because if you do have that front end damage, you can stay with the pack, but if you're the last car in the train, you run the risk of losing it as they run.
Yeah, well said on that note right there. Kind of a sweet spot that you can be in at that point. It looks like we've got about 9 drivers in this lead pack, 8 of whom are for position and on the lead lap. Paxton Frith in the lead all the way back to Mike Miller in P8. The one exception is Brad Holmes in the 00, currently 2nd in line on track, but first car 1 lap down as we cycle, just kind of hoping for a caution at this point to get himself back on the lead lap and in contention as we work lap 60 of 100.
All right, so last time these drivers were on pit road here, Arie, they were on pit road lap number 41. That's giving us, we're about 20 laps here. If they can make it to about lap 67, 68, as close as they can get to lap number 70 here, I think that's where they're going to need to fall in order to try to make this their final stop of the night. We'll see if these drivers are able to do that, or if we get another yellow flag out over the speedway. The problem is here, Arie, when you have kind of these smaller packs out here, the way the algorithms work and whatever, it doesn't always pick up single car incidents for yellow flags. So if you get turned here, there's a high probability that you're going to be driving around this track on your own for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something you got to be very careful about. And these green flag pit stops, they're a doozy. I would argue they are trickier than green flag pit stops anywhere else. I mean, we have a number of tricky pit roads, and doing so here at these drafting tracks, it's not because the pit road itself is tricky, it's because the margins are so fine, and you have to make sure that you and those who you are pitting with can stay linked up, stay drafting, and make the most out of it. You see so often drivers who might be dominating the race, something goes wrong at the pit stop, they can't stay linked up right, maybe they come down with too few other drivers, and that is their chances gone just like that.
Yeah, and that's something that we saw a lot in the real 500 just this past weekend, where drivers came down on pit road and it took them maybe even more than a lap or two, sometimes 2 or 3 laps to get hooked back up. As they run right now, this is what it would look. This is what it would be. This is what would be good if they can leave pit road running like this. But for the majority of the green flag pit stops that we saw in the 500, they came out with a half a second of separation between them, and that really kills the outlap as other cars are still racing around the track.
Yeah, absolutely. Currently working lap 62, waiting to see just how far these drivers can take this tank of fuel, trying to ensure that they can make it on a single stop to the finish. The last time the majority of the field had stopped was lap 41. Just over 20 laps ago. We are officially in the longest run of the race thus far tonight.
Let's take a ride on board with the 17, one of the drivers in the back of this lead pack back here. And he's probably running about 70% throttle right here. So he's saving more than the cars directly in front of him here. And these checkups, although they're annoying, right, this is helping his case on terms of trying to save fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, 70% at like the most. I think for a lot of what we're seeing right here, I think Gabriel Knight is down at about 40 to 50% fuel, or I guess throttle input at the moment. He is saving a lot of fuel running in line right here, and I think he's got the benefit that everyone else is kind of in the same boat. You know, if you're the only one saving fuel, it gets tricky because you don't want to be too far off the pace. But when this is the pace, as we've started to see even in the real life counterpart over the last couple of years, everyone can just kind of go into max save mode.
Yeah, so to put it in a little bit of perspective here, Arie, the fastest lap times out here tonight for like race leader Paxton Frith was a 46.2. Second place Matt Semple was a 46.3. These drivers are coasting around here at 50+ second laps.
Yeah. About 4 seconds off the pack racing pace, which is pretty insane to think about. That is a pretty significant jump.
That has allowed the second pack to close up to the front pack here. And now we have, once again, a pack of about 13 vehicles.
I tell you what, Tom, that time it was 52 seconds, so we're up to 6 seconds slower.
At this point, find a friend, come down pit road, and rip off 6-second lap better times, and you'll make that up.
Yeah, I think at this point you got to start thinking about it. Is we see a couple of drivers starting to dive out of line, wondering what they're thinking. The 97 of Aiden Shrine going to commit to it. Got the 3 of Christian Key up on the outside line as well. Matt Semple thought about it for a bit. Coming off of turn 4 right here, we'll see what the play is. There's only 2 cars up on that outside line, but they're making pretty good pace, given everyone on the inside still trying to watch their fuel.
That time by, they picked it up by quite a bit here. 49 seconds, about 3 seconds faster that time by. So either they think they're good or they think they cannot be good by trying to save fuel. As now the outside lane starting to move just a little bit. Aiden Shrine jumps up to the outside lane. He's got Christian Key directly in tow. 2 cars up on the outside lane. They've made it up to about the second place position on track. Matt Semple, but it's going to stall out there.
Semple's going to get clear again in the 8 machine. Bring the 19 along with them. Those 2 cars on the outside line can only do so much without the help of a third or more additional helpers. The 11 is going to jump out of line. McMurray to get linked up with the 97 yet again.
What do you think the sweet spot is in terms of cars on the line? Because it's like the three pigs and the little bears or whatever. You remember too hot, too cold, whatever. You have too many cars in a line. You get the checkups. You don't have enough, and then you're not moving. How many cars do you like to see in a line if you're leading?
I think if it's that outside line, I think the healthy number probably sits at 4 for me. That's what my gut is telling me. If you get 4 drivers up there, 4 drivers who can push and get pushed by each other pretty good, with the lead car, utilizing that side draft, I think you can do a lot with just those 4 drivers. You get too many drivers up there, to your point, and you start having too many checkups, too many people trying not to run over each other. That kind of kills your momentum, kind of stalls it out. And of course, if you have too little, you just can't build up enough momentum in the first place.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing here a little bit with the 11 and the 97. Christian Key also in tow here as well. And they are locked bumpers up on the top shelf of the Speedway right now, but still unable to forge forward, as they're still side by side with, at best, it looks like the 3rd car in line on the inside, Matt Semple.
And they're going to get broken up in a big way. The 97 of Shrine's going to dive back into line behind Key in the 3, and that leaves McMurray in the 11 hanging out to dry. The 97 will let him in, and as a matter of fact, everybody is going to bring it down on pit road.
Paxton Frith, the race leader, goes around on the entry to pit road. He's going to slide into the grass, out of the way of harm of others. Other drivers coming down onto pit road. Meanwhile, we have Lucas Hansen, Gabriel Knight, Mike Miller, and Christopher Puglisi. They're going to stay out on track here.
That they are issues for previous race leader Paxton Frith on pit road. We'll continue to monitor that situation. The 21 does have a black flag showing for unsafe pit entry. Probably got in a little too hot, even though it was sideways.
That's multiple felonies right there coming in like that. All right, we'll see if the 45 and the 17, the race leaders, come into pit road this time. Looks like everything I can see looks like they are coming down here onto pit road. The 45 on to pit road, as well as the other drivers. A little bit of a cleaner entry here for these 4.
Yeah, these 4 are going to get on the pit road very nicely. If they can get off a pit road that nicely and that bunch together, that's going to play very well for these drivers right here. A little bit of contact, though. That's going to send Mike Miller in the 0-1 down to the inside wall. Miscommunication. The 42 slides his box. Oh, my goodness.
That's one of those things, Arie. You have to know who's next to you.
Yeah.
And if because you're running the same pit road speed, but you're going to lose more time making contact like that than if you just breathe the throttle and let them take the spot on pit road and make a clean entry into your box.
Absolutely. And here we go then. Now we can start to see how this is going to play out. We got a couple of teammates up here, Matt Semple, Brad Holmes. They are in a tandem draft just far enough ahead, I think, of the tandem of the 97 and the 11, Aiden Shrine, Dustin McMurray. Now, if they can sniff enough draft, they'll catch those 2, and I think they might be able to get just enough. This is going to turn into a 4-car pack. Those 2 teammates out front couldn't quite get enough of an advantage. The 97, he is going to be pulling these guys in very quickly at this point, and this might turn into a 4-horse race.
Yeah, gap is now 0.7 of a second, and they have got the draft here, and they are quickly closing in. They may jump to the outside here and take the opportunity to control this race, but you can see the 97 and the 11 at the start-finish line. Give that lap led to Matt Semple, but new race leaders up front, the 97 and 11.
There we have it then. The 97 and the 11 take control. The 8 is in tow. The 00 is still not on the lead lap, so Brad Holmes is a bit of a wild card in this group right here. He is teammates with the 8, and he is not for position. Go a little further back, we've got Gabriel Knight and Lucas Hansen, 17 and 45. They're in a tandem as well, but they're going to be a little too far back to be sniffing the draft of those drivers ahead, unfortunately. Now that those 4 have gotten linked up, they'll be driving a little faster than these 2. So they're probably going to need something crazy to happen at this point. And, oh, by the way, Tom, they stretched their fuel so much to get to the window, but now everyone's in a significantly smaller pack, which makes fuel saving even harder for every single one of these drivers.
And let's couple that with the fact that they're trying to close, you know, depending where they are, they're trying to close 2.5 seconds or 5.5 seconds if you're in the pack with Mackenzie Clayton, Christopher Puglisi, Mike Miller, Gary Miller, Roy Hill III. Those drivers are trying to close 10 seconds. So they were able to save enough fuel to put them in a position to be their final stop. But now I think this is going to throw everything out the window.
Very well may, as it appears at the moment. It's going to be a 5-car pack. The first 3 for position, and the 2 at the end of the pack are both lapped vehicles at this point. Brad Holmes 1 lap down, Paxton Frith a couple of laps down after his pit road mishap, getting in on entry. The 97 and the 11 in control, but Matt Semple, Tom, notably holding a very, very relaxed gap to the 11, which tells me that Matt Semple has gone into big-time fuel-saving mode. He is going to try and capitalize from his current track position.
Yeah, and you can also see the same thing here with the 11. These drivers electing not to kind of stay right up on top of each other, but that's going to allow. That is already allowed. Let me correct that statement. That has already allowed the drivers that were 2.5 seconds back to join this pack again. But how much fuel did they use getting there? That's going to be the question that they have to answer. The margins for error on the calculations is near zero here as the laps wind down.
It very much is. They were able to catch up to the lead draft, which gives themselves a chance. About all you can ask for. Now they're going to go into hardcore fuel-saving mode if they know what's good for them. And this lead pack grows as we await a couple others to catch up as well. Mackenzie Clayton will be the next one to be closing in, and he's closing in at a pretty good rate. Just goes to show how off the pace these drivers are running at the moment. The leaders were about 3 seconds off of their best time last go around. So we'll get this entire field brought back together. I think those drivers in this lead pack who have been up in this lead pack, the top 4 specifically, I think they're going to be benefited a lot from this, Tom, because they've been able to save while everyone else has had to push all out just to catch up. All right, off of turn number 2, we do have a breakaway. The 97 and the 11, they have a very big gap to the 8 of Matt Semple. That's going to cause the 19 to jump out of line, as does the 17 and 45. They're fancying closing up that gap. They don't want those top 2 to get too far away. But what does it look like between how much you're pushing and how much fuel is left on board? There's 26 laps to go. That is no short distance on 65% of a tank here. We're going to be 3 wide for the race lead as the 19 gets into the 97. All the while on the outside, it's the 17 of Gabriel Knight who takes over the race lead, and we are 3 wide again with the lap down car of the 50.
We're going to remain 3 wide for the time being. We settle out back to a 2 wide scenario by the time we exit turn number 2, but very close call on the front stretch there, Arie, with Gabriel Knight taking the lead. The 45 of Lucas Hansen, let's not forget, a couple of laps ago, they were 3 seconds back and losing time. Now they are up in this lead pack. But is it too little too late as we have 25 laps to go? Last time by, these cars were on pit road. Well, they were on pit road about 11 laps ago for the majority of them. So they've still got some gas left in that tank. How much more do they got, and can they make it to the end? And let's not forget, Arie, Daytona, Talladega, we have 3 overtime finishes.
Oh, we certainly do, and if we get a single overtime, I think it's all out the window. Everyone's got to come down for more fuel with just how much fuel saving we are seeing at the moment. Here's the situation on the high side. The 21 and the 50, neither driver going for the race lead, both trying to get their lap back the old-fashioned way. Paxton Frith moves himself into only 2 laps down, getting ahead of the race leader right there. Here comes Matt Semple and Brad Holmes. This tells the story, Tom, how much these drivers are saving when you can just press the gas pedal down and go about 10 miles an hour faster.
And you would think that running slower laps would have a lower risk of running into accidents. I actually seem to think that it has a higher risk of running into accidents because, you know, are we going? Oh, looks like we're going. Oh, wait, no, we're hitting the brakes. And then you kind of have this big accordion effect at 170 miles an hour. And that could result in a caution flag. So we'll see how it plays out here, as Matt Semple and Brad Holmes have taken the race lead. Second car in line on the inside, he's going to be a lap down. Second place for the race right now, that's going to be the 97, who is third in line.
All right, so the positions have shuffled around once again. New race leader, it's your defending champion Matt Semple in the 8-car. Biggest mover on the night, up 14 positions from where he started tonight's event here in Daytona. Currently leading the way with Brad Holmes' teammate and lap down car on his rear bumper. Aiden Shrine, third car in line, currently runs in P2. And the 97 is followed by another lap down car in the 21. So we have gone no shortage of non-lead lap race cars intermingling here with the race leaders.
Now the top 4 have slowly broken away here a little bit. That's going to be Matt Semple, 2. I want to say that's the 21 of Paxton Frith. Christopher Puglisi, Dustin McMurray, Mike Miller. All these drivers within striking distance of the lead pack here. A little bit of separation from them, though. But now for the first time here, Ari, we're starting to see drivers start to take the opportunities while they're saving fuel to get up there and try to control the race for the time that they can, because you want to do that. But on the flip side of that coin, if a caution comes out while you're controlling the race, that's going to set you up and give you a full tank of fuel to the finish.
It absolutely is. I'm excited to see how this plays out. 21 laps to go. And for many of these drivers, generally speaking, you get down to about that 20 lap mark and you know it is certainly go time. And you are not holding anything back at that point. You get within 20 laps to go at Daytona and it is all out. You are going for it. So we'll see what these drivers do. Let's see how the aggression ticks up. They are still all managing the fuel situation, and we could very well find ourselves in a position where some drivers can't make it all the way to the end and start running out in the closing moments.
It's definitely less than what it was, Ari, last time by for the majority of the field. 46.7, 46.8 for this lead pack up here. So we were seeing 52-plus second laps about 10-15 laps ago. Not the case anymore, as drivers are back up to a race speed. But you can still manage the fuel and run fast laps if you're the 4th or 5th car in line. And I think that's going to be the spot that maybe you want to be in here in the closing laps.
Well, I tell you what, Tom, I think I've caught on to what happened here, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say the 8 car in the 00 determined that there was no way they were going to comfortably save enough. So they pushed the pace. They went out front, and they started running all out, forcing everyone else to do the same, lest they fall too far behind. As a result, they are kind of forcing everybody in this lead pack to have to come down and pit again, or probably run out trying to stretch more than they can comfortably do so at this pace. I'm thinking we're going to see everyone come back down on pit road for the most part and at least get a little splash here towards the end. I think the fact that we're back up to 46-second lap times tells me that they gave up on it, and they're not going to make it without a splash.
Still seeing a little bit of separation on this second pack back here, though, Ari. You got Mike Miller, Mackenzie Clayton, Roy Hill III. They are still running. I mean, Roy Hill last time by was 50 seconds plus. I think he may have actually just grabbed the draft as cars were coming around him, so that may be a little misleading. One car is on pit road. That's going to be the 3 of Christian Key, who has fought his way back onto the lead lap.
He looks like he's back down a lap.
Yeah, he's going to be back down a lap here for the 3. But back up at the front of the field, Semple still leading this race. 3rd car in line, that's 2nd place, Aiden Shrine. Winner of a couple of road courses last season. Gabriel Knight, newcomer to the Frigga-Diggy Racing League. Lucas Hansen in 4th, top 5, rounded out by Christopher Puglisi, who was involved in an incident earlier in tonight's event, as the laps begin to wind down here from the Frigga-Diggy 250.
All right, the 4 cars at the front, 2 lead lap drivers, 2 lap down drivers. They are aggressively staying nose to tail as we run that bottom line. The 17 and the 45, they're going to stay close enough, keep themselves in the equation. Something else to keep in mind right here is that the 17 and the 45, as well as I would even say the 42, the 11, The 0-1, they all pit a lap later, so they would also have that additional advantage over the 8 and the 97. Those guys came down on lap 68, so we do have a 1 lap difference between a handful of these drivers versus another handful. I think with the pace that they've kind of gotten themselves back up to at this point, they're running all out, and if you were going to try and stretch to the end, you would be stretching the entire time.
Well, we're going to find out here. I mean, so if that's being said here, Arie, I mean, obviously the longer you run, the less gas you have to put in the vehicle, right? But Daytona and Talladega are big enough that Matt Semple, Brad Holmes, Aiden Shrine, Gabriel Knight, these drivers can come down to pit road, put as much fuel in it as they think they need to get to the finish of the race. If a caution comes back out, they can stay out and then control the race because they're not going to go a lap down.
Oh, absolutely. It's an interesting spot to be in.
But that's the double-edged sword there, though, is if you only need to put 2 gallons of it at the end, right? I mean, that's going to be significantly faster, but a yellow flag, you're allowed to stay out and take control of the race once again. So it's a unique spot to be in here.
That it is. Couldn't agree with you more in that case. We're down to 15 laps to go. We head down towards turn 3, waiting to see how the fuel situation is going to play out for all of our race leaders currently controlling this race. It's that black and yellow 8 Camaro. It's Matt Semple. As now we've got some takers, the 45 and the 17.
All right, so Gabriel Knight, Lucas Hansen, 3rd and 4th place on pit road. Going to be joined on pit road by the 50 of Uriel Vaughn. Directly behind them, he's a couple of laps down. But on pit road for another vehicle nonetheless. And now this kind of opens up the book. How did the 8, the 00, the 97, the 21 respond to that call?
It's going to be interesting. Those two effectively came down on their own. I think the 50 was a little too far back to be a help in that case. So we know they're going to try and stay close together. The two 17 and 45 working together. How many cars come down with the next group? Be real interesting if it's just groups of 2 at this point, or if we get somebody with a 3rd or 4th. They're going to stay out yet again. Matt Semple in the 8 continues to lead the way. 13 laps to go, as we can see the 17 and the 45 on pit exit.
You see the separation here, Arie, and this is what I was talking about a couple of minutes ago. You've got over a second of separation. It's really 1.3, 1.4 seconds from the 45 to the 17. This is not doing them any favors here on their outlap. The 17 is backing up to the 45.
Yeah.
But this is precious time lost.
It is precious time lost. I think the optimal way to do this is if you're the 17, you got to give up that time on the apron. You've got to give it up when you're heading through turns 1 and 2, getting up to speed. You don't want to be giving up that time when you should already be up to speed. Yeah.
All right, so we saw how they came out of pit road, and we'll see how these drivers, if they do come down pit road, I would imagine that they're going to. We'll watch their pit exit here, but now the 17 and 45 are linked back up. A little 2-car tandem that they have going against the 4-car group here, which may become a 5 in just a moment as they make their way around the 19 of Mackenzie Clayton.
12 laps to go, and we are waiting on the top 7. Do they have enough fuel to get to the end? That is the question. Matt Semple through Roy Hill the 3rd. We know Gabriel Knight, Lucas Hansen are good to go to the end. They just came down for a splash, but they have a big gap to make up.
This is something I think we've lost sight of here, Arie. Look at the interval from 3rd place on back. 17 seconds is the 18 seconds now.
These are the committed savers.
And you can hear it.
Oh, yeah, you certainly can. Even the 42 who's leading this line, Puglisi doing his best to save at the moment, and that's going to be a big reason that they're going as slow as they are at the moment. So 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, they are all in hardcore save mode. They're going to try and stretch it despite the gap. This is going to be interesting. We've kind of got 3 strategies converging.
Last time by, they were 8 seconds slower than the leaders, Matt Semple, Aiden Shrine. A pit road time here, just coming down pit road is 40 seconds. They're already 25 seconds back and losing.
I think it's too much. I think they gotta save too much.
This may be too little too late for that second pack back there, because with the 40-second delta pit road time, even if they can make it, they're already 28 seconds back.
Yeah, and you got to figure, you know, the fastest drivers on track right now are the race leaders who you are trying to just beat out on time, but they're committed. They know they have to come down, and they're just going to go up there and run as fast as they can. They have the biggest pack. They have the draft. That's helping their case as well. They're going to be making the most time out there on track. They're about to lap the 45 and the 17 before too long, but I'm sure they'll have to come down pretty shortly here.
Now,
here's a development.
What?
Those two packs just converged, and now Mike Schaefer and Roy Hill are going to jump ahead of that trio of the 42, the 11, and the 01. Have they saved enough fuel to keep themselves within the window?
Well, right now it's about 9 seconds. That is about the gap that they have to work with. But I would like a little bit more than that, because I don't want to have to be playing with the throttle in the closing laps of a race at Daytona.
Certainly not. Whoa, we've got action up front.
Action up front. Matt Semple jumps to the outside. He's followed by Brad Holmes as the 45, the 17. They're going to try to stay on the lead lap here. So far, the 17 is able to stay on the lead lap. The 45 down. Already a lap down to race leader Matt Semple. But these drivers doing everything they can, because they know if they get a caution here, that's going to put them in the best possible spot in the closing laps, inside 10 laps to go.
That it is, and here we go then. Can Matt Semple get the push he needs to get clear? He's going to have to come down onto pit road very soon. He's not going to want to stay in the outside. Paxton Frith goes 3 wide with the double zero and the 17, and the double zero gets clipped. And Brad Holmes through 3 and 4 spins around. The yellow flag is out, and that will change everything.
Well, Arie, why don't you walk us through this one, because this is a difficult one.
I was going to throw that one to you.
1, 2, 3, nose goes.
Yeah, I think we had a little bit of a connection kerfuffle right there, and it's still kind of happening with the 21 clipping through the double zero right there. That's just going to be a product of differing internet connections not being too great, and the collision on these cars getting a little wonky, a little unrealistic, as can happen sometimes over the internet. Unfortunately, Brad Holmes is going to be the driver who gets the bad deal of it, but you can really see it right here. The 21 just kind of clipping through the double zero, trying to get up out of the way. It's just really weird when your car is kind of inside of that other car and it's not really registering correctly, and you're trying to get it figured out. This is all happening in a split second, of course, at 190 miles an hour, and just a little too much right there. Little too close. You can hear the engine expire on the double zero. That's going to be Brad Holmes' race. And with that, we are under caution. Notably, the 17 and the 45, both a lap down at the time of caution. The 17 is going to get the lucky dog. I'm sure the 45 will take the wave around here. But they are both going to have to start at the back of the pack as a result.
And it's so difficult to say, Aria, in the closing laps of Daytona, with only 2 cars within striking distance of the race leader. Caution brought out by vehicles trying to get their lap back, or at least trying to help their teammate up at the front of the field. But now we're going to have a little bit under a 5-lap shootout in the closing laps here. Matt Semple on pit road, Aiden Shrine on pit road. The drivers that had committed to pit road, this kind of throws everything out the window as they make their way down here as well, but may need less fuel.
Very much so. I think this is just one of those situations. It's not quite green-white checkered territory yet. Everyone was close on fuel. Some couldn't make it, some maybe. Everyone's just going to go ahead and take that fuel now. Hopefully take enough to cover all 3 potential green-white checkers right there. You don't want to have to come back down 1 or 2 attempts in to get a little more fuel. So we'll see how it all plays out, but Matt Semple is going to retain the race lead through everything that has unfolded right here. He was staying out until the last possible second, and it did work out for driver 8. We're going to see a couple of drivers taking the wave around. It's going to be the 45, the 17, the 19 will be taking a wave around as well. The 3, the 50, the 38. And that will put all of the aforementioned drivers on the lead lap, with the exception of Christian Key, who is a couple laps down.
All right, Arie, we've raced 95 laps to get to this point. You've learned who you work well with. You've learned how to make the outside lane work. And we've seen some exciting stage finishes out here tonight. All of that goes in the memory bank, and it's going to get pulled out here in about 4 laps time. By the time we get going here, once again, season opener for the Friggy Racing League. Follow us next week. We will be at Echo Park Speedway, same time, same place, next Wednesday night here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network.
All right, this time by, it'll be clear track for the wave around drivers to get themselves caught up to the back of the pack. We're going to double file it up. Matt Semple in control of the race, going to elect to take the inside. That puts Aiden Shrine to his outside on the front row for what could be the final restart of this race. Row 2 is going to be made up of Roy Hill in the 77 and Mike Schaefer in the 29. Mike Schaefer, who has had a difficult race up to this point, now finds himself on row 2 with this late race restart with an opportunity to win here in Daytona. Let's not forget who won the last time we were here in Daytona, Tom, in the Friggy Racing League. It was that 29 of Mike Schaefer.
It certainly was. In July of last year, Mike Schaefer picked up the win here on the CyberThunder Broadcast Network, looking to go for a second Daytona win here tonight in that number 29. And he may be in one of the better spots here. He's going to have the 97 of Aiden Shrine, who's been very aggressive all night long in terms of making that outside lane work. If I'm that 29, I'm sending the 97 a message right now and saying, I'm with you, don't leave me.
Certainly the case, and I think it'll be interesting to see if the 11 car can get up into the mix, because we know the 11 and the 97, they are looking for each other at all times. They will go with each other at all times. Up to this point, does that change? Will it show again? We're going to see, but at the moment, we've got a number of drivers without teammates in their immediate proximity. As we run on track, it'll be very much every man for themselves as we get ready to restart with just about 5 laps to go.
How about Roy Hill here in third on this restart, which may be the final restart of the evening. Roy has had a quiet night out here tonight, up 14 spots from his qualifying effort, and now with just a handful of miles of racing to go, finds himself in a position to maybe sneak away a win here. But pace car down and away, and we're going to come into the restart zone once again. Barney's going to send us on our way. Matt Semple on the inside, Aiden Shrine on the outside. We come through the gears.
All right, the 97 ducks down in P2. He finds the gap, and he's going to leave the 29 into 0-1 all alone on the outside lane. Matt Semple leads down into turn 1. 4 laps remain.
4 laps to go out here tonight from the World Center of Racing. All these drivers looking to get the first win on the season, put their name into the winners column before anybody else does. Who's going to do it? Right now, Matt Semple leading the field, Aiden Shrine in second, Roy Hill the third in third, and Mike Miller, Dustin McMurray fighting back for fourth.
All right, we're 3 wide, a little further back. The 48 in the middle, trying to get out of there. Logan Spencer on the outside, trying to keep it clean. There's door banging for P3, the 77 and the 11. Everyone going all out. 3 laps to go.
Give us 3 laps to go at the line. The outside lane being led by Dustin McMurray in that blue number 11. He's got help from Mike Miller in the 0-1 directly behind him as they make their run through turns 1 and 2. Now the 97 of Aiden Shrine, he's going to jump up to the outside lane. Bad push here on the corner exit. You're going to have multiple cars going backwards here.
Here we go. Then the 11 gets right hooked by the 0-1. Down the back straightaway, Logan Spencer gets tagged, and more. The 38 of Gary Miller spinning around as well. 4 car incident down the back straightaway. starting with the 11 and the 01. All right, let's take a look here. Why don't we? So we've got the 11 blinking out, a little bit of a connection mishap going on right there. Not too much we can do about that one. We'll jump on with our aerial view yet again. The 11 nearly turns the 97. I think he's going to check up just a little bit right here. The 01, he's kind of to the outside at this point. He's not really lined up at all. He's just going to tag the right rear of the 11 right there and send McMurray around. And it looks like everyone's going to get through until the 19 tags the 89. And that is where things get crazy again. Logan Spencer gets a hard hit into the outside wall. He's going to come down and collect the 38 of Gary Miller. Gary Miller is going to collect the 50 of Uriel Vaughn. And that is just a chain reaction at that point. But all stemming from a misaligned run from the 01 to the 11. In that mayhem, somehow, some way, the 8-car of Matt Semple is still in control of this race, Tom.
Yeah, he was in a very bad spot going into turn number 1 as the 97 and 11 decided to hook up. And, well, by the time they got to the exit of turn number 2, the picture looked a little bit different. Matt Semple still the race leader. Aiden Shrine still in second. Roy Hill the third currently runs in third place. Gabriel Knight and the 45 of Lucas Hansen round out the top 5 as I believe this is going to be our first official attempt at one of our 3 green-white checkered overtime finishes.
It very much will be. See if the lights go out on the pace truck this time around or not. But it is officially time for Friggy Diggy overtime. Gonna have to wait one more time before the lights go out on that pace truck here in Daytona, but we are getting the 2026 season started with a bang, heading into overtime in the first event of the season.
And the big change here, Arie, is last season, last time these drivers were down in Daytona Beach, Florida, if they got a win, not that you could coast, right, to the playoffs, but it took a lot of the pressure off because you knew that you were in. Now it is a season point total going to be moving these drivers into the playoffs later in their season, and all these drivers looking to have a maximum points night out here this evening. Stage wins, stage points, and ultimately the race win all fall into that bucket here, and we'll see who is the first one to put a checkbox next to their name here in the winners column at Daytona.
I'll tell you what, while we've got some extra time under the pace laps right here, Tom, why don't we catch up with third place driver Roy Hill in the 77 and see what our third place driver is thinking here as we get ready for the restart. We've got the 77 of Roy Hill here, currently running a P3, getting ready to restart in the first official overtime attempt for tonight's event. What's going through your mind right now, Roy? What do you need? What are you thinking? And how are you going to put that Ford Mustang in victory lane?
Just try to get a good push with Matt here coming to the green and just try to stay out of trouble, really. It's been crazy here in the draft. And as long as we can stay clean and me and Matt can hook together, I think we got a good shot at it.
All right. Love to hear it. I got a question for you, Roy. If you're pushing one driver ahead of you, when do you like to make the move? Do you make it with 2 to go? Do you make it on the white flag? Do you make it coming to the line?
It all really depends on the momentum and how it's going, but usually I try to go later than earlier.
Fair enough. Well, I tell you what, good luck for the finish of this race. We'll move you back down there and potentially talk to you in a little bit.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Roy Hill going to be restarting this, what may be final restart from the inside of row number 2. He's got a ways to go. He's got a challenge in front of him if he wants to pick up the win out here for the opener here in the Friggy Diggy Racing League. Arie, I guess we've talked about this before. Closing laps out here tonight. What do you like? You like the top side? You like the bottom side?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tom. I have a little bit of recency bias given I won a dual race last night. And on a green-white checkered, I won it from P6. So I tell you what, I like where the 29 is sitting right now there with Mike Schaefer, though I tell you what, it was because the outside line got a really good restart. The three of us got linked up, and we passed two of the guys on the inside pretty much right away. So it would take a lot from P6. You know, things got to go right. I think realistically, given how this race has gone so far tonight, that outside line just it's been kind of scary up there, Tom. It's not as effective as I would like it to be. Yeah, you can make moves up there. Yeah, you can get a run. It's just I feel a lot less confident than I normally do. I really like the position that the 77 of Roy Hill is in.
Well, I mean, let's take a look at, Mike Schaefer right now. These drivers back here on row number 3, row number 4, those are the drivers who are going to determine whether we race this 2 wide or if we form a third line.
That's a very good point. And, oh, by the way, the 17 and the 45, they didn't get to be quite in the picture last go-around. They had to start at the tail end from their wave around. They're back in the picture, and they've got something to say.
All right, pace car going to be down and away here as we wait for Matt Semple, Aiden Shrines to give us back to the green flag. Into the restart zone we go once again. Semple on the inside, Shrine up on the outside. Good start on the inside. Is he too far out? He may be a little bit farther out than he wants to be here.
That's very far out for the 8 of Matt Semple. I think it'll be okay because the next two are in lockstep. If Roy Hill gets clear, does he take the momentum? He's going to have a push from the 45. The 97 of Aiden Shrine gets left out to dry. Fortunately, he's got his drafting buddy in the 11 pulling up to his rear bumper.
Outside lane starts to form. Nothing coming just yet. Mike Schaefer on the outside of the 45 up to third place with the run. He's got the 17 of Gabriel Knight directly behind him. And these drivers making lane 2 work here as we're coming to the white flag, Ari. Once we get the white flag, that's going to be it.
All right, here we go then off of turn 4. Is it white or yellow? The 29 gets shuffled out of line. We're 3 wide. They're beating and banging. White flag, next flag, ends the race. Matt Semple, Roy Hill, and the 45 of Lucas Hansen.
Semple leads us down into turn number 1 for the final time out here tonight. He's got Roy Hill directly on his rear bumper. The 45 of Lucas Hansen. All these drivers connected. No daylight between any of these drivers. The 17 with Gabriel Knight coming with an opportunity on the outside lane here, and the push is coming on the top side of the super stretch.
All right, here we go then. 3 cars versus 2. Matt Semple has 2 behind him, make it 3 behind him. He's going to get the advantage in 3 and 4. Where does Roy Hill make the move? He slides up the track. He looks to the bottom. He can't get there. Matt Semple gets clipped. He's going to have to come back up on the racetrack and to the line. Matt Semple wins it in Daytona.
What an absolutely incredible finish out here tonight. Matt Semple picks up where he left off with the win at Phoenix Raceway a couple of months ago, and picks up the first win of the season in that Chevy Camaro, Ari.
Unbelievable run to the finish, and our defending champion is going to keep the momentum rolling. Wasn't really a factor for much of the first half of this race. He knew when it was go time. He got himself up there, put himself in position, kept control of the race, and did something that is frankly not very easy to do, Tom, and that is lead on the white flag and the checkered.
Yeah, absolutely. So many times we've seen drivers lead at the white flag, but not able to put it together. Let's grab a word here with the race winner, Matt Semple. Matt, Tom, and Ari up here in the booth. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you guys?
We are doing all right. Well, you pick up where you left off. From hoisting a championship trophy to hoisting the Daytona trophy here, you're going to pick up your first win of the season.
Yeah, it feels good. Got a bunch of new people in the league here. It seemed to work out all right. A little caution fest, but for the most part, everybody seemed to be able to hold a line really well, and I'm just glad to see this league grow a bit.
Absolutely, always good to see. So I got to ask you here. It looked like at one point there in the middle portions of stage number 3, maybe you guys had determined that you guys weren't going to save enough fuel and just hit the loud pedal and just start going. At what point did you guys determine that, or was that even the thing?
No, it was for sure a thing there. I'm glad you guys caught that at the broadcast, because we were kind of riding there, and I'm trying to do the math in my head, and I'm like, we aren't saving enough to make it to the end here. And when Aiden got around me, and maybe it was Dustin as well, I kind of got a little nervous, and I'm like, well, you know what? If we're not gonna make it, they're not gonna make it either. So then we started pushing and started that 3 wide move there, and made them use their fuel as much as we did.
Yeah, absolutely. We were able to see that Arie picked up on that. And then we had some separation between you and the third place car on track. Any concerns there at the end? Were you definitely coming down on pit road to take maybe your final splash of fuel? And I guess, I mean, we were talking that they were about 30 seconds back here, so it would have been interesting to see if the race ran green, if you guys were able to close back up on that group. But you guys were able to get the win out here tonight. First win of the season here, Matt. Congratulations. We're going to open up the floor. Anybody you want to say hello to back home in that newly painted number 8?
Yeah, thanks for you two for doing the broadcast. It's always great. I'm super excited to go back and watch it. Special thanks to Arie for making this paint job. It is absolute dynamite. I love it. So glad I can park it in Victory Lane. Thanks to my mom and dad for watching, as always. Thanks to my smoking hot wife and my daughter for letting me do this. And just thanks for Jaden for putting on a good league here and bringing in these new guys and everything. It's a real pleasure to race with everybody here in this league. And thanks for Alto for being on the car.
All right, Matt, congratulations. First win of the season. Gonna be at Daytona. And second place, I think Arie has got a driver we just spoke to a couple of minutes ago, Roy Hill. Hey, Roy, it's Tom and Arie up in the booth. We are, well, we just spoke to you a couple of minutes ago. Tonight, it's going to have to be second out here for you this evening. Good evening, Roy.
Hey guys, I have no idea how Matt held on to that car. And when me and him made contact, I thought I had it. I did everything I could, and it just wasn't quite enough. But overall, still very happy with the night. Glad to get a good podium finish out here with the Greg Biffle tribute car. Good build, momentum builder on the season, and looking forward to next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Next week, we go to another drafting track. We're going to be at Echo Park Speedway down in Atlanta, Georgia here, which I want to say is going to be a home track for you, driver out of Georgia here. So how do you prepare this week for next week's race at Atlanta? Very similar style of racing, but also a very different style of track.
It's definitely a home track. I actually grew up about 15 minutes from that track. But yeah, very similar style, and drafting is usually one of my strong suits, so I'm looking forward to the race. It should be another pretty good showing for us, and overall you prepare for it about the same as Daytona. It's still just kind of the luck of the draw. It's all draft and try to just hang around and be there at the end.
Yeah, trying to find the right line to be in. And let's talk about that last lap there here, Roy, real quick. Coming down the backstretch, you had a great push, and then on the exit of 4, it seemed like the seas were parting. It seemed like you had the opportunity of a lifetime to come out of turn number 4 and maybe sneak away a win out here tonight. Kind of bring us through your thought process from the backstretch forward there.
Yeah, definitely. Coming into 3, he lined up behind me and gave me that good push. I rode that momentum all the way through 4, and then I had a big run on Matt coming out, and I tried to go high, and he moved up to block, went low. He moved down to block it, and that's when we made that contact. And I saw him dart off my screen. I honestly thought he wrecked. And then when I saw him come back out in front of me, I couldn't believe it. And that was a heck of a job driving that car on his part.
Absolutely. So close, but second place is going to be where you finish out here tonight. Unofficially, Roy, we're going to open up the floor. Anybody want to say hello to back home in Georgia, watching you take a second place spot here tonight?
Just a big thanks to you guys for, as always, broadcasting the race, and looking forward to it again next week.
All right, Roy, congratulations once again on a podium finish out here this evening. And now I think Arie is unmuted and has got our third place finisher, Gabriel Knight.
That I do. Third place finisher in what I do believe to be your first start here in the Freaky Racing League tonight. Welcome to the league. Welcome to the podium, Gabriel Knight. You had a very interesting race that towards the end there, it looked like it had kind of fallen apart when you in the 45 went a lap down in time for that caution, but it kind of worked itself out in time for you guys to get back up there. Just walk me through that green-white checkered and kind of what you attempted to do there.
Oh yeah. I mean, starting from the back of the field, you know, the only goal is getting to the front, and me and the 45 did what we could to put ourselves in a position to win that race, which I think we did pretty well. Thank you guys for broadcasting. It was a great race. I had a couple of friends watch it. It was a really fun race. My first league race. Definitely looking forward to running more of them. Just shame we couldn't get the win there. Thought we would get more help, but that didn't happen. But still, podium. That was fun.
I tell you what, for first league race, that is one heck of a way to do it, and glad that you were able to have some people watching along in tonight's race. You definitely put that 17 in some fun situations out there, and we get ready to turn our attention next week. We got some more drafting to do. It's going to be a little bit of a different situation over in Echo Park, but should be a lot of the same, should be pretty intense, and excited to see that 17 out on track this season. Before we let you go, we're going to open up the floor to you to give any specific hays or highs or shout outs to anyone you got out there, and who you might be celebrating with.
Thanks to JVS Motorsports with Joe Kwan, Uriel, and Lucas, big helpers out there. It was fun racing with all those guys, and the entire field really did a great job. It was a really fun race. Don't really have anyone else to thank, but that was fun.
All right, there we go. Congrats again on the podium finish. Gabriel will let you go celebrate. And with that, that is our top 3 finishers in tonight's event. Here in the Freaky Deaky Racing League, I tell you what, Tom, that's a pretty good way to start the season.
Absolutely, and no shortage of excitement out here this evening. We saw a little bit of everything, exciting stage finishes, fuel saving, and then, yeah, an overtime or two to put the checkered flag on race number 1 of the Freaky Deaky Racing League 2026 season, here with Matt Semple taking the win.
All right, let's go ahead and pull up the officially unofficial final results for tonight's event. The season opener, of course, here in the Freaky Deaky Racing League. Your race winner, picking up where he left off last season. It's Matt Semple in the A car, coming home ahead of Roy Hill in P2. P3 goes to Gabriel Knight, ahead of Dustin McMurray in P4. And rounding out the top 5 is going to be the 38 of Gary Miller. Son Mike Miller comes home in P6, ahead of Mackenzie Clayton in 7th. 8th place goes to Christian Key. By the time the checkered flag falls, Mike Schaefer is in 9th, and rounding out the top 10, Lucas Hansen.
11th place is going to have to be good enough out here this evening for the driver, the 97, Aiden Shrine, on the outside of the top 10. Justin Stoyanovsky finishes 12th out here tonight. Paxton Frith comes home 2 laps down in that 21 and 13th place. Logan Spencer out of Bigfoot Motorsports finishes 14th, with Brad Holmes directly behind in 15th. And multiple laps down in 16th, Uriel Vaughn in that 50. And rounding out our field of 17 drivers out here tonight, Christopher Puglisi.
All right, I tell you what, to all of you folks out there watching at home, we've got more action coming at you in 1 week's time here in the Freaky Deaky Racing League. Next Wednesday evening, some more drafting action up in the state of Georgia. We're heading to Echo Park Speedway for round 2 of the 36th race season here for these drivers. Hopefully, we'll see more of the same, but nonetheless, we will see you there. Don't forget to drop a like on this stream. Make sure you subscribe to the CyberThunder Broadcast Network to make sure you don't miss any of the racing action week in and week out, and we will see you in Atlanta.